All right, pre-calc, we are moving on to section 4, and what we're going to practice today is how to come up with the equation of an exponential function based off of some clues. So notice in the problem I'm telling you that we have this shift left 1. That's going to be pretty important, and you have to look at the clues inside of the problem in order to come up with the correct answer. So the first thing that they're mentioning is the C value here. Well, you should remember that the C value is based off of the horizontal asymptote. Well, if you look at the equation, the horizontal asymptote is down here at y equals -3. So therefore, C must equal -3 in the problem. Which brings me to the next point, is we want to examine x equals -1. Now, I think it's enough to just look at the graph and say, oh, I can tell that at x equals -1, we get a y value of -2. What I'm talking about is I can see that that graph crosses through like a corner piece of the grid right there. The other reason why I want you to examine x equals -1 is if I put -1 in for this x, -1 plus 1 is 0. And what is any base to the 0 power equal to? It's equal to 1. So what we know, based off of this statement, and I'll write it all out, a times b to the -1 plus 1 power. I'm replacing -1 in for that x. And now I'm replacing c with -3, must give me a value of -2. So sometimes I'll give you the function notation and the ordered pair. Other times I will only give you the graph. So it depends on the problem. But just like before, I mentioned that b to the 0 power equals 1. Well, a times 1 is a. And we can solve for a by adding 3 over. So we have now deduced that a in this problem, -2 plus 3, must equal 1. So let me circle things. And again, it's up to you what point you choose. I look for corners in the grid. Like this is not a corner in the grid. This is not a corner in the grid. But right here, I would say that that's a corner in the grid. You could even use this piece. And I'll look closely at your individual work if you use a different point than what I choose. But I would choose the ordered pair 0, -1. So that means when x is 0, I get a y value of -1. So if I go back to this equation, now I know a equals 1, b to the, I'm plugging 0 for x, -3, that's the c value, must give me a y value of -1. And try to pick easy numbers as well. Like, it wouldn't be very advantageous for you to pick x equals 2, because I don't know how many of you really want to do b to the 2 plus 1 power. I would much rather just do b to the first power, which is just b, and add 3 over, and you get b equals 2. So let me circle that. Let's switch colors, and let's write out the final equation for f of x. So f of x is equal to, a is 1. I don't know why I wrote it here. You don't have to write 1 times. But the base is 2 to the x plus 1 power -3 is the equation. And you can confirm everything we've learned so far that that is the correct answer. Because we have exponential growth, we do not have a y-axis reflection, we do not have an x-axis reflection. My base is bigger than 1, so it is growth with no, base is larger than 1 with no reflections, and it's shifted down 3 units. And you can even pick out more values, like plug in x equals 1. Well, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 squared is 4, 4 minus 3 is 1. Did I have the ordered pair 1, 1 in my graph? And that answer is yes. So there's so many ways that you can double check your work before moving on. So notice now, with the next problem, we are no longer taking this step by step. I'm just saying, here's the problem. So notice that the There's no translation. There's no y-axis reflection. But now I'm just saying, like, kind of just, this is the equation I want you to work with. What's A, B, and C? Here's the graph. So again, first thing you need to look for is what's the C value. Y-intercept, the horizontal asymptote is up 4. I'm going to use the y-intercept here shortly, but the C equals 4 is because of the horizontal asymptote. If you want to write that down, that might be helpful. At y equals 4. The next thing that you want to figure out is A, but here's the thing, is you want to try to get rid of the base. So what do I have to take the base to get rid of the base? Well, if x is 0, then the base to the 0 power will give me 1. So that's really what I'm going with on this part, is I want to get rid of that base, and that I can get rid of it if I plug in 0 for x. Now that I know that the C value is 4, if I look at the problem, the y-intercept is 2, 0, 2. So again, the B value, B to the 0 power is 1, and I can subtract 4 over. So my A value is equal to -2. And hopefully we're at the point that you can say, does that answer make sense? Well, if I have a negative A value, I need to be below the horizontal asymptote, and I absolutely I am. So at this point, it's up to you what third point you want to choose. But again, I look for where they appear to cross a point on the grid. So you might choose this ordered pair, which looks like 1, 3 to me. That's the one I would choose. Others of you might choose this one, 0, -1. I'm just not as keen. That's the wrong ordered pair. This would be a miracle if those are the only 2 mistakes I have. It's -1, 0. I'm not that keen on doing x is -1 though. You can. I would rather use this one where x is 1. So now that I know A is -2, B plugging 1 in for x, C is 4, I need to get a y value of 3. So as I subtract 4 over, I get -1 is equal to -2. B to the first power is just B. So if I divide by -2, I get the base is 1/2. So let's write the equation being g of x this time instead of f, is -2, the base is 1/2, to the x power plus 4. Let's see if this answer makes sense. Now you could use a graphing calculator. If you're doing your homework or you use a calculator, that's fine. But we have exponential growth with 1 reflection. Well, I said that wrong, but if the base is smaller than 1 with 1 reflection, then we should have exponential growth, and we do. We have a horizontal asymptote at y equals 4. We could plug in different values. If we plugged in -1 in for x, well, 1/2 to the negative first power is, it's a 2. 2 times -2 is -4, plus 4 would give me 0. So I have the correct answer here. And I'm trying to get you to, I guess, kind of reason through all of that. And that's what this last question is. Maybe I'll even pull up the answer key if you want to hit pause and kind of reflect on it and write down all of these reasons. So I'm moving back over to my notes if you haven't hit pause yet. So here's another problem, but instead of giving you the graph, we're giving you a equation. Notice that they're telling you there's no plus C value. So basically they're saying, hey, there's no horizontal, well, the horizontal asymptote is y equals 0. Because there's no C value. Now, that pertains to this first problem, because if you notice on this one, there is a C value. But again, it boils down to when x is 0, you get a y value of 3. Why do I care about that? Well, if I plug 0 in for x, anything to the 0 power is 1, so a must be equal to 3. A times 1 equals 3. Fair enough. So now what I can do is I can replace a with 3 times b to the first power. Now I'm replacing 1 in for x. Should give me a value of 15. Well, if I divide 3 over, then b must be equal to 5. I don't know if this is a problem that's way too easy for you, or if that made perfect sense, or if you need to write down questions and then bring them back to class. But this is what I'm looking for that equation. As I move on to the next one, notice that there's a c value, so we just add one more clue in here. Why do I care about this clue? Is because the end behavior is your clue for a horizontal asymptote. So that horizontal asymptote is at y equals 3. So now I know that the c value is 3. This is also important because when x is 0, I'm plugging 0 in for x. I don't know what a is, but I should get a y value of 2. I guess I forgot to write down that c equals 3. I feel like I'm really struggling with this lesson, even though it's really not that bad of a lesson. But anyway, b to the 0 power is equal to 1, and then you could just subtract 3 over, so you can see that the a value is 2 minus 3 is negative 1. And now I can plug that in to that equation. I'll just do this right here, negative 1. I don't know what b is, but now I'm going to use this clue. To the negative 4th power, don't forget about your c value, plus 3 must equal negative 2. So I can subtract 3 over, I'm talking about negative 5 then. And it might be worth your while to rewrite this as 1 over b to the 4th. I don't know if that's helpful to anybody. Let's not do that. Let's give you a different option. So when you divide both sides by negative 1, we're looking at the positive 5. So then what I would do to undo the negative 4th power equals positive 5 is take it to the negative 1/4 power. And the reason why I'm going to do that is, well, let's use a calculator. Is I can then go 5 to the negative. Now, some people, you might need to put this in parentheses if you have a different calculator than mine. Mine does not need parentheses to do this. But we get a pretty, 0.669. Remember, 3 decimals for your base. So how do I want you to write your answer is, what was it called? G. G of x was equal to negative 1. You don't have to write 1, but you definitely need the negative there. 0.669 to the x power. It was plus 3, wasn't it? Yeah. So again, I'm going to show you the answer key, just in case you want a slightly different explanation. I almost did this thing right here. If it would let me. Because to the negative 4th power, it puts it into the denominator. So I was thinking about cross multiplying. So if you prefer cross multiplication instead of the way I showed you, then by all means you're welcome to that. And notice he did the same thing I did, because a lot of math people think like this. If you can write less, go ahead and write less. And what I'm going to show you here is, because I'm almost out of my 15-minute window, to get you to realize that you can actually use your graphing calculator, if you do this, to come up with a exponential function. If you follow these commands. I'm not a big fan of doing it this way, but I do want you to know that a graphing calculator can help you get the correct answer. So you hit pause, follow these commands, and you can see the correct answer to this one that was up here.